What's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 34 of the Keep It Down podcast. As always, I'm your host, Garrett, joined by my two brothers and co-hosts, Ty and Logan. TC, how you been, baby?
Doing great, man. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the last pod, but first full weekend of football last weekend. Thursday night games, Saturday full slate of college games, Sunday full slate of NFL games. I was in heaven, man. So I'm just doing great this week. What about you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man.
I was just gonna say I have to agree, man. It's just we went from like no football to having all the football we could ever want, like all in like a week or two span. So it's been beautiful.
Yeah, just an absolute pleasure. Boys, before we get too far, we have to give it a Keep It Down. This is a Keep It Down first, boys.
Let's go.
The old Schmag's 30th birthday. Exclusively on the Keep It Down podcast. So, of course, that's a happy birthday, Dirty 30 to Schmag there, boys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I just want you guys to know I could be doing anything right now, but here we are talking to you people. So be thankful.
Exactly.
Hey.
The dedication is real.
Could be in the Bahamas right now if I wanted to be. Kidding. What's that place that Drake always talks about in all of his songs?
Turks and Caicos.
I could be there with him, chilling
Together.
talking about the Raptors or something. Huh?
Yeah, so as always,
thank you. I appreciate it.
As always, you can find us on Instagram at Keep It Down Pod. In our bio will take you to our link tree, and that will keep you up to speed wherever you choose to listen to the Keep It Down podcast or consume your content, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, however you like to do it. Make sure to rate, review where available. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Give us a follow on Instagram. Boys, the Ducks went marching south. The Ducks flew south for the winter, per se.
They did.
So, had a road trip scheduled to Lubbock. Everyone is a little nervous, especially when Texas Tech loses a close one to Wyoming on the road. So, I mean, that's just going to send a program into wounded animal mode. So, what are our thoughts? How do we feel like we fared? Concerns, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Josh kind of mentioned it, but after Texas Tech lost to Wyoming, I was thinking it was going to be a blowout. I mean, I thought we were going to absolutely roll these guys. I thought after opening kickoff, let the party begin. Like, this is going to be a good one, But yeah, Texas Tech did a great job, man. Kept it close all the way to the end. Obviously, the boys were able to pull it out in the end, so I was super thrilled with the game. It ended up being a great one to watch as a fan. But yeah, man, just overall great to go down there and get the win over out of conference opponent. I think it still does wonders for our resume, even though, Texas Tech maybe took a L with the Wyoming loss as far as their like being our strength of schedule for the year. But yeah, I mean, we took care of business, and that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, so I mean, now one weird thing though. I mean, when he was at Oregon, obviously Texas Tech's now quarterback Tyler. How we pronounce it when he played for Oregon was Show, but apparently she goes by, is it Shug?
It's like Shuck.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was just like the broadcasters or if something changed, and he's like, "Hey guys, that's actually not how you pronounce my name." But I mean, that dude looked great, man. I mean, giving respect to Texas Tech, I mean, that dude's gonna probably be one of the top drafts in this year's or next year's NFL draft. You know what I mean? He looked great. Texas Tech. I mean, we snapped a 23 home game win streak that Texas Tech had rolling. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, Texas Tech lost to Wyoming, unranked team. Like a good overall team though, like well coached, not like a ton of like stupid penalties. I mean, Oregon, their penalties were absolutely horrendous that game. I mean, we had like 130 something penalty yards, which is absurd for us. So I hope that gets figured out. I feel like a lot of times we shot ourselves in the foot that game with some unnecessary penalties or kind of some uncharacteristic things. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, like there was a time where we couldn't trust Oregon to win a close game. It's either we beat a team by 40 or like we lost, But
Exactly.
I mean, just the fact that we can stay composed and win close games like that now is a huge confidence boost, like going down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Like the penalty yards were just like the biggest thing to me, man. You got to get that cleaned up. Obviously, it's early in the season. A few of them were pretty, kind of ticky tack sort of things. I thought that late hit on Shuck out of bounds was a little soft. A couple of the pass interference calls were soft, but you know how that goes. But also, you
Yeah.
got to play within the rule set that you're given. So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
definitely could have been cleaned up. A couple of them were just stupid. Like a couple of them that Kyrie Jackson had, like
Yeah.
he just on that 3rd and 18 on the right boundary, I guess he just absolutely lit that dude up and just had a chance
Yeah.
to
Like
just get the
just
ball out of there.
launched into him. It looked
Yeah,
like.
so just a couple, but when you got one of those aggressive dudes on the back end, it's going to happen from time to time. But I mean, we
Yeah.
love it when he's laying dudes out or getting interceptions. But I mean, you're going to get a PI called every now and again. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
thought the offense played well overall. I think the offensive line still has some chemistry to gain in the run game specifically. I thought pass protection was great. Bo Nix only been sacked one time through 2 games. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, I think the chemistry on the run game has some room to grow. But
Hmm.
overall, love to get a W, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think you can come out and play your best game every time, and we definitely didn't do that. You guys mentioned it already. The pass interference calls, the stupid penalties, and just like overall didn't play our best game.
Yeah.
But it was nice to win the close one finally. We've seen it, in years past with Stanford, Arizona State, what have you, where we get into these close games and we start freaking out, and all of a sudden, like the world starts collapsing on us. And we definitely did not let that happen. I don't think we played our best game by any means, but it was nice to see the resiliency and in the end to pull it out and get the W over a non-conference opponent.
Yeah, I mean, and like shout out to Camden Lewis, man. Like, I mean, he's going into his like 5th year or something crazy at Oregon, but not having to worry about having like a reliable kicker. I mean, it really comes down to like the lessons that you like pull away from the game. Like we are competitive in close games. We saw it at the end of last season with North Carolina, and now this
Yeah.
season with Texas Tech. We can be clutch. We can be composed. We can't, we don't have to throw the game away at the end. And then, I think I ended our Oregon talk last week talking about how good Joey Bossa looked and like, just how like good of a linebacker he's turned into. And sure enough, man, like was in a prime position to help seal the game this last week. So, yeah, thankful the boys got it done for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you love to win the games that you should lose. That's what good teams do. They
Mhm.
win their losses almost. Like whether it's Georgia, like in a Mizzou type environment, like last year, or, what have you. You just gotta find ways to kind of sneak through that kind of in and outs when things get tough and you're in some random venue in late November. It's I mean, personally, I feel like this does a lot more for you than just beating teams by 70 the first 3 weeks of the
Mhm.
season. So,
Yeah, true.
but yeah,
Boys, here on the Keep It Down podcast, we'd like to give a 5-star rating to Oregon's uniforms for the week. What'd you guys think of the twist on the old Stormtrooper uniforms? We went with the all white with the chrome reflective helmets. Were they as icy as you thought they were going to be? What star rating are you giving them for last week?
I'm gonna have to give them a 4
Okay.
because you do again. We talk about this all the time. They're gonna look great. It's always gonna be aesthetically pleasing. But when you go out of the box and you bring something back from the past, I think last time we wore these was like 2019 Washington, maybe give or
Okay.
take.
Mhm.
So they've been out of the rotation for a bit. Bring them back. Love to see it. I thought they looked good. Give them a 4 from me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 4.5. I'm a sucker for all white uniforms. I think they look great. And the chrome helmet, obviously, we were, Oregon fans, obviously, when they wore them for the first time back in the day, and I still love them. So it was good to see them back. So 4.5 for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a solid 4. I mean, they were definitely icy for sure. I this is kind of different than how I usually feel, but I thought they looked better in the pictures than they did
Mhm.
on the field. I
Great
was like
pictures.
thinking, yeah, I thought we were gonna come out and just look just different. And they look great, but it just wasn't over the top for me. So I'm just going with a solid 4.
Sure.
But obviously, the all white always gonna look clean, especially with those helmets, kind of give it that pop.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the pictures, when some dude's been polishing that helmet for 5 hours,
Hours.
and then someone goes in warm ups and sets their helmet on the ground, then it has smudges on it and turf
Yeah.
pellets, and yeah. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
overall good look. Not so good look for Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide boys.
Ooh,
They fall to Texas 34-24, I think was the final score, not positive,
At
but
home.
oof.
yeah, at home. It seems like kind of, we've been doing the Keeper Down podcast for quite a while now. And so last year, towards the end of the season, we were like, we've just never seen this happen to an Alabama team. And I think this one just keeps climbing that ladder. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's my initial thought.
I was shocked. I picked Bama to win. I thought a lot of the country was thinking they were going to win. I mean, I think they were number 3 going into the week. Um, you know, Texas always says they're back, and they never are. So it's hard for me to trust them. Bama's kind of the more known commodity. But, I mean, you got to give the flowers to Texas, man. They really took it to them. Saban and gang had no answers for what Texas was bringing. They just didn't look like they had the playmakers to play the style of ball that they usually play. The defense looked a little bit lackluster. I mean, as far as Saban and his reputation goes. But yeah, just kind of a stinker from them and a shocker. I mean, I said it on the last part. I thought Saban and Alabama were going to make an example out of Texas this past week, and that is definitely not what happened on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of seems like Alabama has a tough times, like really tough games against teams that like to be a bit more unorthodox. I mean, if you look back to like the big losses that Bama's had, right? They, I mean, the biggest one obviously is going to be Texas A&M when Johnny Manziel was there. When Bama was coming into the peak of what they eventually became. But I mean, super unorthodox, like hard offense to play against. And Bama had issues with them. LSU last season, Tennessee last season, like just whatever that game plan is, like just you need to watch that film. And I feel like Texas did that. They had some really awkward, weird, like long forming routes that they kind of ran, and Quinn Ewers was able to, get away from the pressure just enough to like find those receivers. And Bama just didn't really have an answer for it. It seemed like, I mean, obviously they had their big plays. Bama's always going to have that, but yeah, I mean, just some questionable quarterback play on Bama's part, I thought, and I mean, just yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of nervous for Bama a bit. We kind of talked about it, but it kind of looks like there could be a little bit of a dip here. But
Yeah, I'm gonna have to echo those same values. I think the difference is the quarterback. You don't have a superstar back there. You don't have a Bryce Young or a Tua or Jalen
mm-hmm.
Hurts or Nate. Take your pick your poison
Yeah,
there. So, because I feel like we kind of saw the same game unfold last year when they played in Austin, but
mm-hmm.
Bryce Young was able to bail them out with a few clutch plays in the end. And
Yeah,
so when you lose that, it becomes very difficult unless you're just flat out better than a team, which a lot of times they are because they're Alabama. But
yeah,
when you play a team like Texas or Ohio State or Oregon or whoever it is that also recruits at a high level, like you're going to be playing on a much more balanced scale than you usually are. And I think they got tested. I think that they have a relatively weak coaching staff. Obviously, Saban is one of the greatest coaches of all time, but I think overall as a staff, they're definitely lacking in some positions that they usually are not. Like if you look back to years where they have Sark, Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, all on a singular staff, and so
mm-hmm.
I mean it's just
Yeah,
rough weekend for the Alabama boys. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like the most dominant Alabama teams in the past, number one, they had better athletes than pretty much anyone else in the whole country. But
yeah,
also, they were better coached. They if you got into those close games, they forced you into mistakes, and that's usually what would turn the tide, even in the close games. No pun intended. But that's just not happening in the last couple of years. Like
yeah,
they get into these close games and they just can't figure out a way to pull them out. We saw it with Tennessee. We saw it against Texas. It just keeps happening over and over. Like, I don't know if Saban's losing some of his magic, or maybe in the past it was more of an intimidation factor going on to where teams start pissing down their leg when Alabama starts coming back in the fourth quarter, and maybe
mm-hmm.
that's gone now. I don't really know, but yeah, it's just not the Alabama teams that we saw of old.
Yeah. It definitely feels that way for sure. Okay, so I guess here's the The keep it down podcast exclusive of me putting my foot in my mouth. Moving on to another game, uh, Colorado and
Mhm.
Nebraska. So both of you guys picked Colorado to win that game. I said
Yeah.
I needed another week, so I went with Nebraska, and Colorado played a great second half. Right? So I got to give them their flowers. Colorado, I think they are a good team. I think they are well coached. I think it's what's actually going on is a little bit different than kind of what we all expected to happen with that current situation. But I mean, you can't argue with the fact that they beat two very reputable opponents, week 1, week 2, back to back. You know, um, and so, I mean, props to them. Huge win over Nebraska. So I'm sure that's great for their program. Huge home opener. I don't know if, I mean, obviously you guys probably tuned into the game, but that stadium was full to the gills, like completely sold out. So, yeah, I mean, good for them.
Yeah, Shmug, one thing I do want to say is Nebraska just isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I told you guys after week 1 when they put up 10 points against Minnesota, I said they are not back yet. I think they're building, but they're not back yet.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska is not it. I mean, don't want to bag on the kid too much, but the Nebraska quarterback had
Sounds,
some issues in the game with
yeah.
turnovers for sure. So I think this is where I'm at with Colorado as I stand week 2 of college football. They have great playmakers. We know
It's
that.
true.
That's a known
Yeah.
thing. Great quarterback, Travis Hunter, the running back. They have great playmakers all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is still yet to be determined if they have great coaching. We have not seen them in a close game yet. Going into the TCU game, TCU is ranked 17, but that's because of the brand name. They had a bunch of transfers coming in. It
Right.
wasn't the same TCU team that went to the national championship game last year by any measure. Um, I want to see what happens when they get punched in the mouth and they're down 10 in the third quarter. I want to see what happens then. And when they're
Yeah.
getting out schemed and the other team maybe has just as many playmakers as they do. So I think there's still some figuring out to do with Colorado, but right now we know that they have playmakers all over the field and they're going to be tough to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think the true test is going to be, when whoever it is, it might be Oregon, might not be, just goes out there and puts 4 or 5 dudes in the box and says, "I fucking dare you to run the ball." And
Mm-hmm.
so what is that going to mean for Colorado? I think will be the true sign of what this team can be and how far they can actually go. Obviously, they are. It seems they're moving a little bit ahead of schedule, like we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still a lot to prove for them. They're very big play dependent, I would say. So, when all the things aren't clicking and, you get into a dogfight late in the game, how are they going to respond when, is it going to, it could unravel very quickly. And then, so it's hard to tell with these teams that have been together for, 6 months at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, you just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. And I mean, we kind of talked about it. And I mean, we all kind of said that we're interested to see how Colorado does against a more traditional defense like Nebraska. And I mean, Nebraska in the first half, man, I thought they played a great game and they really had all those threats kind of bottled up. And I feel like I still kind of stand by Colorado's weakest spots are going to be their offensive and defensive line.
Yeah.
Nebraska was really getting after Sanders in the first half, and they did a great job. I mean, I feel like like you said, TC. I mean, Nebraska's offense really let them down. I mean, they were playing a great game, man. And I mean, if they get a score or two or kind of capitalize on some of those opportunities they had in that first half, I think it's a different game in the second half. But I mean, as
Mm-hmm.
a defense, you can only keep up for so long without your offense scoring any points. You can't do it by yourself. So, yeah, I mean, great win by them. I imagine they're just going to walk all over Colorado State, especially with how this week's gone. But yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to that Oregon matchup to see how that goes.
Yeah, and then I also want to give some flowers to Shadur Sanders, man. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when it was first announced that Coach Prime was coming to Colorado and his son's going to play quarterback, no one knew what to expect. You know what I mean? You have that whole stigma around the coach's kid, and he has proven that he is a real baller. I mean, obviously, week one he put up 500 yards, and
Mm-hmm.
then week two he comes back and beats Nebraska, a Big Ten team. Like he is the real deal for sure, And I just want to give him some flowers in particular, just for going out there and proving himself, and hopefully stepping outside of his dad's shadow a little bit. Um, but yeah, man, he looked like the real deal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more quick game I want to touch on. Miami, Texas A&M.
Yeah. Another good one.
Yeah, Texas A&M just got throttled, man. I think Tyler Van Dyke had like 6 passing touchdowns or something ridiculous like that. And so, yeah, I mean, we talked about it even last year on the pod. I'm really worried for Jimbo Fisher's job security at this point, and kind of what this means as a program to Texas A&M. Big win for Mario and the boys, though, I will say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of tough to see Mario getting the win, but like I said, for some reason A&M just irks me. I don't know if it's the fan base or what. Loved him when Johnny Manziel was there, so I don't know if that's just a sign of maturity out of my part or what. But for some reason, I'm always just rooting against A&M. But at the same time, man, just kind of you never want to see a ex Oregon coach doing well out there in the wild.
Yeah, we loved when Willie Taggart went down to Florida State and got fired after
Yeah.
like 10 minutes. We love to see that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they played a great game. Happy for, I mean, Cristobal's whatever. Happy for Cam McCormick being able to go down there and get a big win like that. It's good for him.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, Jim was in trouble. I mean, they just can't keep doing this every year. Every single year, they start out super rocky like this, and everyone's calling for his job and all that, and then they keep him, and then they just kind of get the same result. So, I'd imagine. I mean, I'm going to give it maybe another year before we see a big time coach hiring. It'll be a big name though. I bet. Put money on it.
Yeah, I mean, the options are endless. Where they go, or like Sean said, they always seem to win a game like Alabama last year towards the end of the season, and so they keep him for another year, and then it's rinse repeat. Recycle for this program and this team that has so much going for them. But yeah, just a crazy week of college football, boys, as per usual.
Yep.
Um, where would you boys like to go next?
Yeah, I mean, let's just kind of tackle the big news from the week. I mean, man, going into the season, the talk of the NFL world, Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. The
Mm-hmm.
Jets have finally gotten themselves a competitive quarterback. Their streak of being the laughing stock of the NFL is finally going to be over, boys. And that lasted a total of 45 seconds on the field. Aaron Rodgers goes down at MetLife Stadium. I mean, I just want to kind of do an open discussion here. Everyone's already kind of heard, the news and the talk around. But I mean, where do you guys think the Jets go from here? Aaron Rodgers going to retire? What's going on, boys?
Yeah, so obviously, you don't love to see anyone get hurt. Just absolute gruesome injury. I was looking at some different angles and whatnot of it, earlier in the
Gnarly.
week. Just felt just gutted, man. And then report comes out from a snippet at practice where Aaron Rodgers tells Garrett Wilson like, "Sorry, kid." That shit's hella sad. So that's not
Mm-hmm.
great. But yeah, the Jets in general, man. Just a fucking gutsy win. Just what a way to. Those are the things that galvanize a team, man. Like lose your starting quarterback, you got to go to the guy who maybe isn't exactly what you're looking for, but he's got to go out there and get it done. I thought their defense played extremely well. I think
Oh
they're
yeah.
definitely the spotlight of that team. I think they can carry them to a lot of wins. So I see them obviously rolling with Zach Wilson for the time being, maybe looking for a veteran esque backup. I mean, that's a tough call. You
Yeah.
got to think Jacoby Brissett, kind of in that
Same.
kind of sort of realm of players and caliber of players. So, um, yeah, I think they go that direction. Play with Zach Wilson. Things get rocky. You got someone to lean on. So,
Yeah. I mean, dude. I mean, Logan's gritty win of the week, man, has to go to the Jets, dude. Like
Mm-hmm.
you are playing like Monday night football of the season, right? Against the Buffalo Bills, you know, a great team, who has been a couple wins off of a Super Bowl berth for seasons now. You know what I mean? And I mean to have your, you know, star quarterback traded in, spend all this money on him, come in and get hurt, and then be left with the guy that brought Aaron Rodgers in to replace essentially in Zach Wilson, and like to be able to like come out on top and like win that game in that fashion. I mean, hey, everyone's always talking about offense and defense, winning games and championships, but special teams wins you Monday Night Football games. So, and hey, shout out to Gibson, man. I mean, obviously, like we've all watched Hard Knocks and we've kind of seen his story, being an undrafted free agent from a smaller school and like barely, making that 53-man cut. And then, I mean, first game of the season, dude, like it pays off. So it's great to see.
Yeah, definitely. It's just tough, man. Obviously, for the Jets, it's like heartbreaking to lose a quarterback of that caliber that
Yeah.
has brought so much hype and expectations to the team. But it's like also like where do you go from here? Because now you got to pivot into the world of Zach Wilson, and his skill set is completely different from what Aaron Rodgers brings to the table. I mean, especially in Aaron's earlier days, he was a little bit more mobile, but that's where Zach really thrives is with his athleticism and the off script type of plays. At least when he was at BYU, I know he hasn't had a ton of success in the NFL yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like now, if you're the Jets, like you have to roll him out of the pocket, you got to get him on the move, you got all those kinds of things, which is a totally, completely different offense than what you had set up with A-Rod going into the season. So it's like how quickly can you pivot and start doing some of those things from what you were working on all of training camp? But yeah, I think you guys are right on. Maybe bring in a more veteran presence for the backup role. But I mean, yeah, options are really limited. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, Mitch Trubisky, someone in that kind of world. But
Andy
it seems
Dalton,
like Zach,
maybe.
yeah, someone like that. But you really have to roll with Zach Wilson and hope that
Mm-hmm.
his short tutelage under A-Rod has really, helped his game in some ways or maybe matured him. But yeah, just you need a game manager. Let the defense win you the game and just don't throw 3 interceptions.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just feed that two-headed monster you got in the backfield of Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall. I
Yeah.
thought Brees Hall looked really sharp for coming off an ACL. I
Mm.
think he's definitely a little ahead of his recovery schedule. I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is, but yeah, he looks sharp. The Jets look sharp overall. Freaking that one dude on the Jets defense had just 3 interceptions, which is crazy. But yeah, I was just gonna flip it over to the Bills. Boys, was that shocking to you guys? I mean, it kind of jarred me. I was like, wow, the Bills really could struggle potentially for a lot of this football season, man.
I
Yeah,
mean,
me. Go ahead, Sean.
no, I was just gonna say. I mean, we were all kind of talking about it. How when we before the NFL season even started, like we were all pretty nervous for the Bills, and like we kind of said that hey, like they've had a really good like past few seasons, but their time's kind of running out in terms of like players kind of being in the prime of like being able to go far in the playoffs, to make a run. And I mean, team has to go to their start, their backup quarterback after, the first minute of the game, and then it goes to overtime and losing like that. Like, I mean, they got beaten all 3 phases of the game, which is never doesn't win you very many football games.
Yeah, I mean it's overreaction Monday or in our case Thursday this
Yeah.
week. I mean, if you're just going off of last week, Cowboys are going to go 17-0. Giants are going to go 3-14, and Josh Allen is the bottom 5 quarterback in the league. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you're just going off of last week, so it's an overreaction type of week. We only have a small sample size so far.
Yeah.
I will say that Josh Allen didn't have his best performance. He's still a top 5 quarterback in the league. The
Mhm.
thing with Josh Allen is he kind of got that Brett Favre thing going on where he's a gunslinger, and
Chucking.
some of his best plays are he's going to roll around in the pocket, he's going to launch it 60 yards down the field, and his guy's going to go make a play for him. And it's going to be a touchdown. It's like one of those, no, 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 no. Oh, okay, yes, 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 yes. Like one of those kind of situations with him a lot of times,
Mhm.
and so I mean sometimes he's going to get burnt. and sometimes he's going to make the highlight play. And it just so happened that on that Monday night game, he just got burnt a couple more times than he made the highlight play.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we knew we know what the Bills are. They're a contender. The Jets are the real shocker, for their defense to come out and play so well and keep them in the ball game, eventually win it in overtime. But I was thinking if the Jets looked in the mirror, I think what they're going to see is the San Francisco 49ers. They have the exact same thing going on.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy is Zach Wilson and the playmakers around them, and then the defense is just insane. So
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of hope going into the year, and they can still give a lot of teams a lot of issues, even without A-Rod as your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, if
It's a
I,
great
I
take.
think, I think if you're the Bills, you honestly don't even watch film from last week. Just literally forget it ever even happened. Literally, you're going into week one. Like you just have to get off of this week one loss on Monday Night Football to a backup quarterback out of the Bills building as fast as humanly possible, or else this thing could just snowball. I was scrolling Twitter today and I saw, Stephon Diggs is beefing with media members and like just all this,
Yeah.
yeah, just weird noise that is just not good after, you already had a devastating loss per their fan base. But yeah, you just got to move forward. You got to get going. You're already behind now. So
Yeah. It's a long season.
long season.
Um, did any? I mean, we kind of talked about the Jets. Did any other teams? I guess we can just look at like week one as a whole. Who stood out to you guys teams wise on teams that may have surprised you, or teams that came out and like were kind of followed your predictions for the season, or kind of teams that you thought were going to come out kind of firing on all cylinders a bit?
Yeah, so I'll kind of stay away from the obvious ones. But I thought one team that really came out and surprised me was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Hmm.
Uh,
Um, Baker Mayfield.
I got
I
yeah,
mean,
I got just yeah.
yeah,
I
I mean, I thought they were in on the Caleb Williams sweepstakes this year. I thought that they maybe were going to win 5 games, maybe 3, maybe 2. I don't really know. I mean, they went out and traded away all their future assets to go get them a Super Bowl, and they achieved that. But on the flip side, I mean, you got to pay afterwards, and this seems like
yeah,
kind of those years where you got to start to pay. And they came out and they got the W over a good Minnesota Vikings team that
yeah.
actually tonight competed with the Eagles. So I was really impressed to see them come out and put up the fight that they did and got the dub, man.
Yeah, I think just one thing that we need to work on with the Tampa Bay, and you know what, not even with the Bucks. Baker Mayfield is just he needs to understand when to celebrate and when to talk trash and when to not. Okay, so let's rewind. Okay, I know I just brought us into a new segment and then I'm instantly derailing it, but I'm derailing it for a sec. So against your Pittsburgh Steelers, correct, TC, when he played for the
Yeah,
Browns, Baker Mayfield's running on the sidelines, right? On a little QB like scramble thing. Gets absolutely obliterated on the
leveled.
sideline. I mean, could have died. Legit could have died. That's how hard this dude got hit. I thought he did for a second. And he gets up and celebrates like after that happens to you, which is just a weird time to celebrate, right? And then we go fast forward to this last game on Sunday. He goes and he's again running a little like QB kind of scramble, RPO kind of play, and then kind of gives the corner like a stiff arm, and then like kind of falls forward like another like yard or two, and then like gets up and like what do you tell the corner? Get your weight up.
Get
Like
your way to boy.
the corner made the tackle. Like the one guy that was going to tackle you made the tackle, and you get up and like talk crap to him. I thought it was a great tackle in like open field on a pretty like mobile, shifty quarterback, and then he just gets in his face. I was so confused. I'm like, Baker, we really need to figure this out, man. Like the time and a place. You haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I think I'm coming back around on Baker Mayfield, man. I mean, I was a fan when he was at Oklahoma, and then when he went to the Browns, obviously just the worst franchise, and he was super annoying there. But in the last couple of years, he moved on, went to the Rams, and now with the Bucks. I think I can start rooting for him again.
Beautiful. Love that. We'll have to come full circle. Okay, conductor schmog, getting this train back on the tracks. Chach, who has surprised you in week 1 of the NFL?
I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Mm.
They had a trip to Seattle scheduled for week 1. I see a report Cooper Cup on the pup list, player physically unable to perform list due to an injury. Therefore, I'm like, oh, this is wraps. Seattle is gonna beat them by 70 maybe, and they went in there and played a damn good football game, man. Matthew Stafford looked sharp, throwing to what's his name, Puka Nakua from BYU.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so I thought the Rams really impressed me. Their defense looks solid for having no Jalen Ramsey, no Taylor Rapp, and such. So yeah,
Yeah.
I thought the Rams shocked me, man.
Yeah, I mean, I had like a few games that kind of like I was scratching my head at. I think the Cowboys' big win was really kind of crazy to me. I mean, going into, the Giant Stadium and having it be just a crappy like weather game like that, and like the Cowboys really just like dominating every like facet of the game, I thought was really really surprising for them. Because I mean, they could have came out and they could have got blown out and like, or they could have got beaten in a close game, and it's, oh, the Giants are good. The Giants, went really far in the playoffs last season. But like Dallas came out and they freaking put a whooping on them, which is cool. San Francisco, unfortunately, really, really surprised me. That was not at all what I was expecting. But yeah, I mean, looks like Brock Purdy's the guy, and it's going to remain that way until somebody else says otherwise. So, yeah, I mean, a rough game, man. I mean, Steelers, we're still on track though. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, going to the Dallas thing is pretty crazy. I don't know if you guys saw Micah Parsons' comments after the game, but yeah, or on his podcast, I think he was talking about Daniel Jones staying in until the final snap of the game, and he was like, "Dude, that was so disrespectful to Daniel Jones. Like, I couldn't believe they weren't pulling him out of the game." So, I mean, just an incredible performance by the whole Dallas defense, but just crazy to think that you have a defender on the opposing team thinking that it's bullcrap that the other teammate isn't pulling their starting quarterback out of the game because he's about to hurt him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a really impressive performance by them. And then, yeah, just the big letdown with the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. We've been talking about it all offseason, whether it be the draft or training camp, preseason. We look great. And then just to come out and play that way. Um, yeah, just really just not how I was wanting to start the season. Kind of feels like here we go again with the Matt Canada play calling and the inconsistent play on offense, leading to short field for the defense kind of deal.
Yeah.
Just a real big letdown for the boys.
Yeah. Chach, your Saints look pretty dang good, dude.
Yeah, had some trouble getting in the end zone. A lot of field goals, but I don't know if that's just to be expected early in the season. But overall, we look decent. Yeah, obviously we're missing Alvin Kamara for I think it's either 4 or 6, not positive, but
I
he's
think
on
it's
a
6.
little
Yeah.
suspension. So
Mm-hmm.
we're playing a little one-handed in the backfield there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought the boys played well. The defense, honestly, like the 3 interceptions for Tannehill. He had 6 last season. So I mean,
Yeah.
come
Wild.
on. Yeah, we'll take it. I think we can win a lot more games doing that same thing, just letting the defense play, and then Derek Carr just goes and gets one at some point. So I
Mm-hmm.
like it. I like the mindset. I like the identity of this team, if you will. Because I mean, whether you like it or not, Drew Brees is no longer on the team. So if you just keep trying to do the same things that Drew could do, it's not
Yeah.
going to work. It's like the ship has sailed. So I like that we're going with a different approach now.
Yeah.
Schmar, how did your Commanders fare over the weekend?
Yeah. Got the win, dude. Got the win. I mean, Arizona. I mean, pretty. I don't want to call them a dumpster fire because I feel like they do have some good qualities on that team. Their defense really, really surprised me, dude. And for those of you that didn't look, I mean, and for those of you into fantasy football, Arizona's defense, I think, well, I mean, Dallas's defense obviously had the most fantasy points, but Arizona's defense had dang near 25 points in that game. I mean, just a turnover machine. I mean, of course, game was a little wet, started raining, through the game, had a couple kind of, wet game turnover kind of things going on, but I mean, yeah, Washington came out the win, dude. The stadium was sold out. It was really really good to see a bunch of happy, smiling fans at the stadium, and kind of going through Instagram throughout the week. They had like a big old like fair and festival like outside the stadium, and it's like they're really trying hard to improve the culture around there. And I mean, it's great. It's really, really good to see. It felt good to be a Washington fan, which like it hasn't for a really long time. You know what I mean? So it was good. We got to win. Defense played absolutely incredible, even if it was against the Cardinals. Got a lot of really, really good players. Forbes is. I had my asterisk next to him when we drafted him, but he's going to be great for us. So I'm really, really excited for this season. You know, even if it ends in mediocrity again, at least we can be happy in mediocrity this season. You know.
Yeah, you guys have gotten a huge monkey off your back this year.
Yeah. Sam Howell looked great too. So I think I said a 6. I'm gonna go to a 7 now because Charge said 10 being like thrilled he's our guy, 1 being please don't give him the ball. Like, I'm going with like a 7. He stayed in there and did his thing. So got the win.
Great.
That's all that matters. 1-0.
It's a great place to be. I wouldn't know.
Dude, it's always so funny because like obviously we're college and big college and big NFL guys, and like the sports just like even though they're both football, like they're just so completely different. Like
oh yeah,
college football, if you lose one game, like your season's basically over. Like if it's within the first couple weeks of the season at least, and like the NFL, like you could go 8-9 and make the playoffs, so like
500
exactly. Yeah. So like it's just such
so
a
you're
long
saying there's
season.
a chance.
8.
Let's go.
So boys, dude, I got a game cooked up for you too.
Yeah,
it's called I named it myself. It's called Don't Quote Me, Son.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
Okay, so here's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna give you a quote. You're gonna tell me who said it.
Okay. Is this like sport specific or like
all sports? Not all sports, but a wide variety of sports.
Okay.
So some are going to be super easy, some are going to be confusing, but we're just absolutely getting into her.
How are we answering? Are we buzzing or are we
like a snap?
We could blurt. We could do some blurting.
Just blurt. Okay.
Paul Blurt. Game Cup.
The first one. We talk about practice.
Van Gundy.
Allen Iverson.
Dang it. Van Gundy's in here somewhere.
Okay. Let's go eat a goddamn snack.
Rex Ryan.
Oh, I think Ty's gonna edge it there, but to be the man, you have to beat the man.
I think it's like a Tom Brady quote or something, but I know it's not that.
Mm-mm.
Is it basketball for half a point? Is it basketball?
No.
Is it like Daniel Cormier or someone in the UFC world?
Okay, no. So yeah, but if you both guess and don't get it, then I'll give you the sport.
Okay.
WWE.
Oh, it's John Cena.
Nope.
Undertaker.
All right, final guesses. One more guess each of you.
Steve Austin.
Nope. Closer.
Logan
Warmer,
Paul.
Definitely. Nope.
Oh gosh.
So it's our boy Ric Flair.
Oh, beautiful.
All right. Some of these could go quick, including this one. I'll try to do the voice. I run New York City.
Is that McGregor?
Yeah, it's McGregor.
See. Hi, bro.
Okay. When you're rich, you don't write checks. Straight cash, homie.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss.
Yikes.
This is a 1972 landslide right here, boys. Okay, let me see. All right, this one is old. This is old-timey, okay? What's the difference between a 3-week-old puppy and a sports writer? In 6 weeks, the puppy stops whining.
Joe Namath.
Hint, old NFL coach.
I'll let Shmai guess for free.
It's like Jimmy Johnson.
Close. Very close.
Is it Mike Ditka?
There it is.
Oh.
There it is.
Ditka.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm really good at this.
No smoking means no smoking.
No, yeah, that's your best Ditka quote.
All right. I've been big ever since I was little.
Big ever since I was little.
This is
Gotta be like Gronk.
No. Same right sports, NFL.
is this like it's like Vince Wilfork.
Close, very close. Same build.
Ooh, same build.
Is that BJ Raji?
No.
Casey Hampton.
All right, one more guess for these G's.
Same
BJ
position,
Raji.
Nope,
different position.
different position.
Offense?
Yep.
Is that Kelsey?
No, the fridge.
Sure.
Uh,
Okay.
Okay. All right, this is gonna be. This may go quick or it may not. I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid.
Maybe done.
how come Forrest Gump just came straight to the front of my head? Played at Bama.
Is it a
Done.
coach? Is it a coach?
Player
What?
for sure. I'm not sure about the coaching thing. Hint: Steelers. Old Steelers.
That freaking
Is it Peasy, Joey Porter?
Mm-mm. Older.
from that era?
Older.
I'll let Schmog guess first.
Like Larry Foote.
Is it Joe Green?
No, Terry Bradshaw said that one.
Yeah.
Great guy.
All right, this one should probably go quick. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
That's a wild thing to say in any context.
All right, last one. Ty's going for the sweep here, Schwag. What do we got?
I said Rex Ryan, and you gave it to Ty on my birthday. That's crazy.
All right, I'll give you one. Ty gets revoked the
So
point
he's not
because
getting
it's
a sweep.
Schwag's birthday.
I think I said it first, but it's okay.
No, it was a lag.
All right. This one's obviously a coach. The fewer rules a coach has, the fewer rules there are to break.
Vince Lombardi.
Nope, close.
Yeah.
Very close.
Now he's gonna get it because I already freaking got the close one.
Is it Don Shula?
Nope. Like the goach per se.
Belichick. Got it.
All right, Ty, final guess.
You said no?
Yeah, it's not
Not
Belichick.
Belichick?
No.
You said Goach.
Well, I mean, that's subjective, but
How many Super Bowls do you have?
7.
I'm gonna be mad. I mean, I gotta guess like Jimmy Johnson, but I know he's not.
This is John Madden, boys.
I was about to say that.
Not mad.
Yeah, so that's all I got for you, boys. Ty, unfortunately, is going to take this one 5-1 in favor over Schmag on his 30th birthday. That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I got the
You just
snack
ever-
one.
Have you guys ever seen that meme? And it's like it's not even a meme. It's like an old video of Mike Tyson and like the interviewer guy's reporting him, and Mike Tyson's like telling him that he broke his back or something, or he's had a back injury coming in, and the reporter guy's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "It's spinal."
It's final.
Dude, Mike
So
Tyson
stupid, but I
has some
love it.
crazy ones.
Mhm.
He's like a reporter's asking him a question, and he's like, he called you a psycho and a rapist. And he's like, he called me a psycho? This is literally the
I was like, wow, for real.
Dude, yeah, it was an
You
absolute
can't just
trip.
keep getting away with this kind of stuff, dude. Like we gotta, like this guy's got to stop at some point. And he bit a guy's ear off, so there's something.
Yeah, partially. Crazy.
Partially, like that's not still a horrible thing to do.
All right, boys. It's time. I know everyone's waiting out there. The pockets are feeling a little light after last week, boys, per se. This is the third annual weekly, bi-weekly per se, installment of the 50-year bus series with the boys. Okay, so unfortunately the boys took a hit last week, boys.
Yeah,
RIP.
Justin Jefferson, you failed me Brock Purdy, you also failed me. So therefore, you're never allowed to be on the list ever again. But
That's it.
with that being said, every dip does have to have a mountain, if you will,
Spike.
a
Yeah.
spike per se.
Yeah.
We're talking about wavelengths, boys. It's all about the averages. It's not the mountains and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
It's a woozy, a wuzzy, a woozy kind of type of thing.
It's
So
nothing. It's fairy dust.
exactly. That being said, this week's picks are in. Got Kirk Cousins under 3.5 rush yards. Oh, you saw a light bulb in your head. Whoa,
Uh-oh.
maybe this game already happened. It did.
Hit it.
Hit it. That's one green check for the boys. Okay. Secondly,
And we're shoo-in for the second one.
we're going Bo Nix over 2.5 passing touchdowns. We got Hawaii at home. Could be a little sketchy
Easy.
out there. Should get it done. Do we rest
Yeah,
our
I mean,
case?
my only fear with the Bo Nix one is just that maybe starters get pulled early. Rushing attack goes off, and we have like 3-4 rushing touchdowns, and Bo only throws for like one tub. But if the starters play the whole game, I think it's easy money.
See,
Yeah, I mean, no, go ahead, Josh. You're good. I'll
no,
go
I
after
was
you.
just gonna say, I also had that fear, and then I looked at Hawaii's stats, and their quarterback actually leads the country in passing yards with like almost 1,000 in 3 games.
Beautiful.
They like to chuck it for sure.
So yeah, they are definitely an air raid ish scheme. So I think they could hang around for a little bit just because of the unique style, and that's kind of the Oregon's biggest weakness at this moment. So I think they could hang around for a while, and hopefully Bo gets a couple passing tubs for us, 3 to be
Yeah.
exact.
Watching the Texas Tech game last week, I mean, just kind of if we're going off that, I mean, we like to pass in the red zone. You know what I mean? I mean, even with like the loaded backfield that we have, we'd love those crossing routes. We love that, it's a big, Ferg, shout out Ferg, big target in the end zone. You know what I mean? So I'm confident. I'm even more confident going into this week. I mean, we already hit one, but super confident on that pick.
Exactly. Yeah, so those are our picks. As always, the Keep It Dumb podcast not condone or promote gambling of any kind. If you are struggling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. They will help you. Do not gamble with money you're not willing to lose. Be smart. Use your noggin. All of that good stuff. Boys.
Josh, we started with $50. Where are we at now?
Well,
Funds check.
What's the bank sitting like?
so before we
Pretty.
placed our bet for this week, we're at 45. We put 15 on this week's game. So we're at 30 in the bank pending this week's results.
Oh,
go.
God.
Yeah. So
You need a hitter.
we
we're
got
gonna hit.
Yeah, we got 2 picks for the 3x power play at $15, so we win 45 if we hit on this. So then on
go
net
back.
we'll go back up to net 25 after that. So and then I guess we can just only stick to 2-leg parlays because 3 is just where it gets dangerous. You got to cross multiply. You got to carry the 1 and all that good stuff.
So much weird stuff going on there with math.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of weird stuff, boys, I think we just head right on first into the old pickems here.
Yep.
Let's cruise through it. We got our picks. Okay. Side note: I've started picking my picks before the show now because I feel like when we got here and started talking about it, I would then make my decision, and it was a very bad result for me. But ever since I started picking them before the show, I was much more logical with my decisions. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but all right,
Go for it.
Getting right into it. We got the 11 ranked Tennessee Volunteers going to the Swamp against the Florida Gators. Line sitting at 6.5 in favor of Tennessee. I personally think Tennessee will win this. It could get a little sketchy. I think Florida is better than they showed in week 1 for sure. Pretty sure they had to lay up week 2. So it's where you prove it in week 3 against a ranked opponent in your division. So
Yeah, I'm going with Tennessee as well. Joe Milton is just really going to be that guy for Tennessee. Cannot trust Florida. I picked them to win week 1 when they're playing Utah. Cam Rising injured. They let me down. So just, you know what, out of spite. And also, I think Tennessee is the better team. We're going Tennessee.
Yeah, same. I got Tennessee by a lot. They've ruined it. They've lost all my trust. So Tennessee, go Vols. Back on the bandwagon, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Schmag's a Tennessee TCU merchant last season, dude.
He
I,
was. He rode
they
that wave hard.
Yeah,
they
till it
got me
crashed.
so many wins in the pickems, though. You could say
Mhm.
that they helped me win our pickems championship last season. So
For sure.
Per se. All right, moving on. We got the 8th-ranked Washington Huskies traveling to East Lansing, taking on the Michigan State Spartans. What are you laughing at, Schmag?
no, Washington. I think Michigan Michigan State's going to be without their head coach. It's looking like they are. It looks like they have someone else stepping in for the time being. So on principle alone, I'm going Washington. I think Washington's going to win anyway, but on principle alone, Washington.
Yeah, I mean, I think if all this drama wasn't going down with Michigan State right now, I think it might be sort of a trap game. But Michigan State's just going to have a lot of off-field distractions going on this week.
Yeah, really rough
So
stuff.
I think Washington is probably the better team anyway. So I'm going to go with Michael Penix and the boys, and we're going Washington.
Yeah, of course I put this game on the pick'ems and then wake up Monday morning to the old X app, aka Twitter, just absolutely nuking. And
Yeah,
so yeah, just unfortunate circumstances for the boys. But
yeah,
and week 3 is kind of a dud also. Speaking of for college football, just in general, as you'll see with some of these games that we had to
oh yeah.
put in here. So with that being said, South Carolina at 1 Georgia. 27.5 on the dogs. For betting markets, I mean, South Carolina and the points is looking mighty tasty, though. But unfortunately, that's not what we're doing here. We're betting straight up heads up games here, boys. I have Georgia. I don't think it's going to be close either.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also going to go with Georgia, but they need to be careful because South Carolina. I mean, we saw what they did to Tennessee last season. You know what I mean? They're just a rabid animal when they're backed down into a corner, and they got nothing to lose. Most dangerous team's always the one with nothing to lose. I think Georgia's going to win, but I just hope they come ready to play.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different if it's in South Carolina, but you're going in between the hedges, number one team in the country, back to back defending champs. I mean, I just can't imagine a world where Georgia doesn't show up for this one.
I hope you're right.
Can you imagine the consequences that this would have on college football in general? Just absolutely ridiculous. 14 LSU traveling to Mississippi State. Do you hear that, boys? Sounds like an upset to me. I'm taking Mississippi State here.
Really?
Yeah. I think that, I don't know. I just saw something in that LSU FSU game that just doesn't put a whole lot of my faith in LSU, man. And they're going to Mississippi State. So, yeah, I'm going to have to, my upset pick of the week is going to have to be Mississippi State here, boys. Try to mix one in every week, but.
Yeah, Josh was talking about being logical with your picks, and like right now, I'm just feeling some type of way because I'm just picking the higher ranked team in all these matchups right now. I have not picked one single upset yet. But you know what, Josh? I'm gonna keep being logical. I'm going with the known commodity in LSU for this
That's
one.
crazy.
I don't know what Mississippi State is yet, and I mean I know that LSU's got Jaden Daniels. I don't know that they're a competitive team. They didn't have their best performance against Florida State, but I think they're going to bounce back. I got to go with LSU.
Yeah, I mean, I have Mississippi State, barely beats Arizona. You know what I mean? And I mean, Arizona fell a yard short. Not even a yard. I mean, a couple, like half of a foot short from converting on a first down, to potentially end up winning the game. So, I mean, Arizona still lost. A loss is a loss. A win's a win. I get that. But I got LSU. It's going to be I haven't said one Brian Kelly quote this season. Should I save it? I think I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it.
My family. Anyways, moving on. 15 Kansas State at Missouri. I think this one could be a sleeper pick for banger of the week, boys.
It's going to be a boring game.
Yeah, it's going to be boring, but I think it's going to be the closest of the variety. This is the first sold out crowd in Missouri since 2006.
That's wild.
Which is crazy because they play in the SEC, and I mean, you just think that they could sell out more seats than that. But anyways, moving on. Last time we saw this was Kansas State, Oklahoma City last year, or Oklahoma State last year rather, and Kansas State just went ahead and drug the Oklahoma State all the way from Stillwater back to Manhattan, Kansas. So therefore, I'm not letting them do it to me again. So I'm taking Kansas State here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just pick the high ranked team for every single pick. I don't want to be a guy that's just riding that wave per se. So I'm gonna go Missouri on this one. SEC
Whoa.
team, sold out home game. You're going to Missouri. I know Kansas State did it to me last year when I picked against them when they were playing Oklahoma State.
Wow.
I
I
almost
said
see it.
city,
It's easy.
but yeah, I'm going Missouri, man. For some reason, I've been really partial to these SEC teams. I think they're going to give non-conference opponents a tough time. Let's go Missouri on this one, boys, just to spice it up a little bit.
I'm also going to go Missouri.
Oh, these guys.
Oh,
I'm
Chase
also going.
Daniels.
I mean, yeah. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going with Missouri. I mean, I figured last week Charge and I went Texas over Bama. TCU took Bama. So I'm going to be with you on this one, TC. Me and
Hey,
you.
love it.
Together forever.
Hey, strength in numbers.
Hey.
Have you two SEC boomers seen the SEC record against out of conference opponents?
I
recently?
literally picked Texas to win last week.
Schmuck gets it.
It's fine. It's all fine.
All right, that's what you say. But all right, don't come at me when you lose the pickems. Just don't
I'm
at
the
me.
reigning champ. Get off my ankles.
That's enough. So yeah, that is going to do it for our pickems as per usual. Can't wait to see how wrong we are. Just week after week, man. It just never stops. Just every time you open the little app and you're like, God, I hate myself for making those picks.
No, the thing is that I went 1 for 5 on the first week, and so even though last week I come back with a 4 for 5, still on the overall I'm 5 for 10. Like that 1 for 5 is just gonna haunt me for like probably 5 weeks until I can get my numbers up a little bit.
Yeah, that week one was brutal for the boys. Okay. And
Exactly.
TC, kind of wild, dude. You were one win off of being perfect, and that one win was Bama.
I know
They let you down, dude.
they really did.
Just gotta knock the rust off a little bit. You know what I mean? We're in a, like really in the groove last season, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, nothing gets the juices flowing like an absolute heater of a sleeper pick in the pick'ems, boys. Just nothing to get the juices moving like that. Nothing quite like it. Real quick, while we're on college football still, I did want to touch on the Mel Tucker situation. Not necessarily the situation itself, from where the implications of the program.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone listening, Mel Tucker is currently involved in a.
Was the head coach, is currently involved.
Yeah, he's currently involved in this sexual harassment brouhaha, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening, do your own research. We're not going to talk too much about the details because it's all accusations at this point. So
Yeah.
Nothing's been proven or disproven or any of that kind of stuff. So, but I want to get your guys' take on kind of what this means for Michigan State. Mel Tucker obviously had a meteoric rise in college football with those Colorado teams in that 2019, 2020 Michigan State team, maybe 21, can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But so, yeah, what are your thoughts? What does it mean for Michigan State? How do they move forward from this?
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely crippling. He comes in and has early success in college football, and he gets the Dan Lanning 10-year contract with, basically if either side terminates, then they got to pay for it, and so it's just they had found their guy. It seemed like, and for that just to be taken away just in a week in a whirlwind of everything that has transpired, it's just absolutely crippling for the program just to start at ground zero again.
Yeah, and I mean, you're already, 2 weeks into the season here. You know what I mean? I mean, you've been geared up. Your coaching staff's been getting ready for all this. And I mean, now those players, I mean, and the rest of the coaching staff, like, I mean, there's a lot of off-field stuff. I mean, mind you, you play in the Big Ten. It's an extremely competitive conference, and you got to be ready week after week after week. You know what I mean? So it's really rough for the program. I feel for all those players. and I mean the whole university. Obviously, it's a huge bummer to be having to go through this right now. I mean, horrible stuff, not great. I mean, I was just more surprised on I was before we started recording. I was looking at some of the figures and kind of like his pay, like while all this stuff has been going on, and I mean, it's nuts. I mean, 750K a month, estimated like $6 million he's received since the investigation started. Like, I don't know. I mean, I hope not, but it kind of feels like there's going to be some, maybe some more people knew about it or some more people involved or, who knows? Hopefully we can just get to the bottom of this and we can get this all figured out for, the players' sake.
Yeah, I was gonna say because this has been going on the investigation since spring of 22.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah, that's
know
rough.
how they keep that under wraps for this long, or just kind of keep acting like everything's okay in the in the forefront of things. So, but yeah, just crushing for Michigan State, man. Just a program that meant so much to so many people for so long. And just to see it, like TC said, just all crumble under this one pressure cooker situation.
Yeah.
And now you're just got to pick up the pieces and move on from who you thought was your guy long term. And so like us being Oregon fans, and Dan Lanning signed a nearly identical contract. Like, to put yourself in their shoes for a minute, man, like that would just be ridiculous amounts of I don't even know how to start to begin to explain how that would hit a program, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Also, side note, one other thing I want to touch on, have you guys seen the Kelsey documentary?
No, but Harper was talking about it.
Yeah, so Danae and I watched it last night, actually. It's a great watch, man. I thought yeah, it's really good. I mean, obviously, go watch it for yourself, make your own opinions and all that good stuff. But yeah, I thought it was a really good documentary overall. It would without spoiling anything or anything crazy, it took a real deep dive into some of the other struggles. Most documentaries about football players or whatever is all just glamour and being famous and being a celebrity, and it really showed some of the darker sides of things and how it can affect family life and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I rate it very, very highly.
Josh, what platform is that on? How can you watch it?
Amazon Prime, baby.
There you go.
So yeah,
Yeah,
super good.
we'll
It's
definitely give that a watch.
Yeah, under 2 hours. Great stuff out of them.
Yeah, Harper, my wife, is in love with Travis Kelce, I fear, so I'm sure she'll be on board to give that a watch as well.
See, we watched the Jason Kelce documentary, and now my wife has feelings for Jason Kelce. So,
dude, Jason Kelce is so awesome. I love that dude so much. I told Hannah that he listens to Christmas music before games, and now she's sold on him too. So apparently, Jason Kelce's our favorite player now, which is great. Yeah, definitely able to watch.
Yeah. So I think that's all we have on the docket, boys, for actual topics.
Put your tinfoil hats on, everybody. Place them upon our heads. Do you already know what I'm going to talk about right now?
I do.
The U.S., not the U.S. Scratch. Foil hats on the heads. The Mexican government has produced not one, two aliens. Have you guys seen them? Alleged aliens. And we're talking aliens like outer space aliens, by the way, for those of you listening. I don't know if bro, what in the Spirit Halloween store freaking Halloween Horror Nights has been produced and put on the interwebs? Have you guys seen the pictures of
yeah,
those
briefly
things?
Yeah,
bro, I just kind of want them to be real a little bit. I don't know about you guys.
I know there's been a real uptick in the UFO alien talk lately.
Yeah, that dude in Congress was spewing on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious to see where this is all going to lead up to.
Dude, mummified aliens is what we're dealing with now.
Crazy.
Dude, they built some cozy little beds too. It's like a little pillow, and they're just kind of laying in there.
Hey, what's scarier than an alien? A mummy and an alien.
Yeah, like
as one.
Wow.
man, dude.
I just won't be told they're anything other than paper mache. I won't believe it. I just can't. I can't do it. They're paper mache, and I won't be told otherwise.
Somebody found him like behind like a third grade classroom, and they're like, "Whoa!"
What the
Wow,
hell is that?
this thing's really cool.
Paper mache.
Yeah, for those of you out there interested about what we're talking about, look anywhere on the internet and type in alien, and it'll probably be there.
Yes,
All right,
yes, yes,
foil hats
boys.
off.
Is there anything else we want to touch on, boys?
No, just one more shout out for the boys at Tehachapi High School getting it done again, staying perfect 3-0. Those Wasco teams are always tough, man, and they came in and gave a great fight. Boys were able to pull it out in the end. Harper and I actually went to the game, and Wasco is still running the double wing, man. Still running the double wing. And if you've ever played against the double wing, you know how annoying it is when they're just pulling on the linemen and it's just concussion city in there just because you have to hit the big boys head up all game. They didn't have a ton of success with it, but what was awesome was later in the game, Tashby actually hopped in the double wing. We popped like a 65-yard run off of it for a touchdown.
Hey.
So a little bit of their own medicine back at them. I thought it was poetic justice,
My
to say
boy.
the least.
Yeah, I mean, awesome to see. I think most of us will try to be in attendance at the home game tomorrow. We got Arvin at home. Do you guys have any fond memories of playing Arvin? TC, I can think of one right now for you. How about your first year of high school and you snapped that dude's collarbone on the goal line?
Yeah, I mean,
Fondest.
a fond memory for the touchdown purpose. You never want anyone to ever get hurt or anything like that. And that guy was actually a solid player, probably one of their better players they had in the whole program.
Yeah.
He went on to be the starting quarterback. I don't know what he was doing playing defense on JV at that time. But yeah, man, always good to go play Arvin. I'll say that much.
Mm. Chach, any fond memories of Arvin?
Yeah, no. Just absolute thwompings, but yeah, no memories in particular.
I remember the very first time I went down to play at Arvin. Like I think it's like my second year of youth football. I think it was on like JV, and that grass was so unbelievably dead, and it was like sharp. It's like oddly sharp down there. I'm hopefully it's gotten better since then, but I just remember trying to find all the wristbands and everything I could possibly find to put on my arms for when I fell down and didn't want to get all scuffed up.
Bro, actually, I got one more. We ran a fake punt against Arvin one time.
That's crazy.
You guys remember it? We used to always practice it. It was called Hickory Dickory. And
Oh, yeah.
we would never run it ever in a real
Never.
game. And, bro, we're like beating Arvin like pretty comfortably from what I remember. And all of a sudden, the punter comes into the huddle and says, Hickory Dickory, Hickory Dickory. And I was like, what?
Right now?
You're like checking the scoreboard, like, you sure?
Bro, direct snap to your boy, and I barely got the first down by like half a yard.
Jeez Louise.
The weirdest play call I've ever received in my life.
Nothing better. Yeah, boys. Well, I think that's officially going to do it for the boys. Episode 34, the Keeper Down podcast, bud. Okay? Canadian edition. Be sure to check us out on Instagram as per usual. Keep It Down Pod. And you can find everything there. So go there, check it out. Roast Schmag in the comments for being 30 years old. Crazy. Imagine. R.I.P. Bozo. Anyways, boys, I would say something to the people, huh?
Yeah, man. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed making it. And I tell you what, we're going to get hot on these prize picks, okay? The bank ain't going down anymore. We're only going up from here. We're going to sprinkle a little Johnny Manziel magic on it and all that kind of stuff. We're taking her to the moon, and I won't have it any other way, boys.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off what Ty said, I've been in the news all week, and everyone just keeps talking about how we didn't hit our parlay last week and how bad we are at pickems. I mean, look it up. Any news outlet in America right now is talking about it. And just know, like, this is going to get turned around. And, we're going to get our restitution.
Yeah,
It'll be there.
some could say that even my coworker Ian was sitting in my work truck today, mere hours ago, roasting me for our prize pick, saying how confident we were and we were overconfident, and that's why they didn't hit, boys.
Not the case.
Mind you,
Not the case.
he's a Cowboys fan, so
That is
yeah, just
incredibly
careful,
unfortunate.
careful. Anyways, yeah. So yes, that is officially going to do it, boys. Take care, brush your hair. Good evening.